So research shows that physical space can have a real impact on women and children who experience violence. Often our bodies will react to danger even before, or a space even before our minds understand or process what's going on. So we can respond negatively to spaces that make us feel like we're in danger through bad lighting or sometimes even a bad smell. Children respond really clearly to environmental spaces as well. And women who have experienced traumatic experiences like domestic and family violence not only experience the deterioration of their relationship with the abuser, but they also experience the deterioration of a relationship with their house. So providing them with a really safe space can go a long way to making them feel safe instantly again. Core and cluster refuges should firstly really respond quite clearly to the service provider's needs, and each service provider responds in kind to the community needs. So it's really important for people who are putting these developments together to really liaise quite early with the service providers to understand the different types of buildings that might serve the accommodation needs. So there could be apartment types that are appropriate. They could be courtyard arrangements, it could be a distributed kind of series of units. It all depends on usually the type of site that's available, how much money and what the service provider is able to manage. Landscaping can provide that kind of outside room that really benefits the core and cluster arrangement. And treating the landscape as part of the space, I think, instantly provides a sense of resort often or luxury at a much less cost than a building might. Creating an entry that is safe for women and children when they first arrive at the refuge is really key, and creating a place that's welcoming and inclusive can make their stay, really successful. It's really important to look at the different types of cultures that are coming in. Some cultures need extended family come and stay. Some cultures really want to be able to sit on the floor and have dinner together, and design can meet those needs really easily. Noise is a really interesting factor that comes up a lot in conversations, and it's the greatest trigger in refuges for women living in units. And noise can be really easily managed through good insulation to create more privacy and calm within the spaces for women and children.
Core and cluster services have a vital role to play in providing physically safe spaces for women from migrant and refugee backgrounds and their children. It's so important that practical support is provided in a really professional and informed way that is culturally, linguistically and religiously appropriate. They need to balance between a few components. They need to balance between providing a safe and comfortable physical space while allowing for productive and outcomes-focused service delivery. In addition, they need to focus on providing private spaces while also fostering and nurturing communal engagement, as we know that has proven psychosocial and neurological benefits. It's also important that there is natural lighting, ventilation and greenery, which also has a calming effect, as well as access to prayer facilities and also design enhancements and room configuration which can extend for larger household groupings, and that can be done through innovative ways where we also have dual door access.
In a core and cluster model, there's a lot of specifications that can really help women and children feel safe after domestic and family violence. Obviously there's practical things like good light, clear lines of sight, nowhere for people to hide, having a culturally safe space as well, something that feels welcoming to women and children, but to women and children from diverse backgrounds. Feeling warmth and welcome is really important, having relevant artworks and images around, having spaces that children can play in that feel safe for the kids, having safe and pleasant environments for counselling or for groups or other activities. All those things can really lend themselves to people feeling more relaxed, and if they're feeling relaxed, they can start to heal. So I think it's really important that you also have appropriate spaces for teenagers. They're very different needs to children, and a place where, there's PlayStations or computers or whatever, but somewhere they can be while their mother might be doing some work is really important, and to be distinguished from children's spaces.
Creating a safe space is like a lifeline for women experiencing violence and abuse, and I think even for non-Aboriginal women and for non-Aboriginal staff, having a culturally safe space that's a place of healing, it's warm, it's welcoming, benefits everyone. Well, I think it's really important that people who are designing structures and who are working in these spaces truly have an understanding and a commitment to understanding that the Aboriginal women that you're going to see have had a lifetime of racism, of potentially trauma, discrimination. So then add on that there's been an incident of violence and abuse, and that needs to be factored in terms of what they're walking into. We know that somebody in this position is literally getting up and leaving their life behind, sometimes with their clothes on their back. So to come into that space, that is critical and will provide an opportunity whether an Aboriginal woman is going to go on and live a life free from violence or potentially return home to a perpetrator.
When we're thinking about the core and cluster model, which is a great model because it really centres agency and self-determination for victim survivors, that means being visibly inclusive and affirming. And to be honest, that's pretty basic. It's pretty simple. It can mean a poster that represents our communities, that shows that you're thinking about LGBTQ people, even just LGBTQ women.
Refuges can support the needs of women and children with disability by considering a whole range of factors, because accessibility isn't just about physical modifications like wheelchair ramps or providing Auslan interpreters. It includes how services think about disability. So the attitudes and beliefs in an organisation and by people that represent the organisation. It also includes how information is made available to your clients. So thinking about how you communicate to clients and the different ways that communications can be made so that it's more accessible to women with disability. When considering the design of a service or the core and cluster model, always making sure that women with disability are included in the decision making that affects them. So nothing about us without us. Our community wants to be consulted and included in the design and implementation of services to ensure that our whole community has access to a safe and available service.